Welcome to episode 56 of FountainCast, a biweekly podcast brought to you by the Fountain Hills Chamber of Commerce, striving to be your one-stop fountain of information regarding your local business community here in Fountain Hills. I'm your host, Jill Haislip. Be sure to stay tuned after the podcast to hear about upcoming chamber events. In today's episode, I'm speaking with Don Rice, aka AZ Medicare Guy, where their motto is customer service comes first. Don has been living in Arizona since 1994, originally from the Bronx in New York. Don is a United States Air Force veteran and now gives his time giving back to those who served by volunteering with Honor Flight. He has been in the insurance world since 2005, so he brings over 17 years of experience with him. Let's learn more. Welcome, Don, to the show.
Oh, Jill, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Wonderful. We are pleased to learn a little bit more. So tell us, what exactly is AZ Medicare Guy, also known as Don Rice & Associates?
Well, Don Rice & Associates is the entity. That's my business. AZ Medicare Guy evolved. I used to be AZ Insurance Guy. So then I got into the Medicare world, and AZ Medicare Guy was available, so I jumped on it and took that website and domain. But basically, I only work in the senior market with folks that are transitioning into Medicare, whether they're coming off of group employer benefits and they're past the age of 65, or if they're turning 65 and they need to transition into Medicare. My main focus is to make sure people acquire their Medicare ID card on time and promptly, because if not, they could face penalties.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. So if you don't have that set up by the time you turn 65, you get penalized?
Everybody has their own unique scenario, so it's very important for me to communicate with folks in open conversation approximately 90 to 120 days prior to their 65th birthday, or 90 to 120 days prior to their departure from employer group health benefits.
Interesting. That's really important to know. I don't think they share that out there.
That's why we get the word out. It's all about educating everybody.
Absolutely. So why did you decide to go into the Medicare portion? I mean, there's insurance for anybody at any age. Why did you choose that as your specialty?
Well, I had a health insurance agency back. I started in 2003, 2004. And then in 2006, they had the biggest change in Medicare since its inception in the mid-60s. And my mom was back in New York, and she was on Medicare, so I wanted to make sure she was taken care of as far as knowing what was going on with the changes. So when I found out how complex and complicated Medicare was by just trying to help her, I said, here I am in Arizona, I can help a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Southwest capital of senior retirement out here. So I just got all my additional certifications and licenses and been working in the Medicare world since 2006.
Excellent. What made you decide insurance? What was the appeal to that all the way back when you started around 2003?
Well, in the military, I was a jet engine mechanic, so I worked ejection seats on fighter aircraft.
Wow.
And there wasn't much work on the outside for that, you know.
Sure.
But I actually got involved in the insurance business when I was overseas. After I had separated the military, I was in India, Turkey during the Gulf War. And at that time, my ex-wife, she was active duty. So while I was taking up golf overseas, that's when I got into the insurance business. I was recruited to sell life insurance by John Hancock over there.
Interesting.
So that's how I got into the insurance world. But yeah, the Medicare is a whole different ballgame, because I truly feel I'm serving that purpose of helping the folks make sure that everything's taken care of and they're covered correctly.
And especially with seniors, you hear so often, unfortunately, they get taken advantage of because of their age, and they just don't know certain things, and so they just, are susceptible to that.
Exactly.
And so it's good that they have somebody like you who can come and help them to navigate all of that, because I'm sure it's very overwhelming.
Yeah, and the best thing, and look, we all have friends and family and relatives that we listen to and talk to. But what's good for the goose isn't necessarily good for the gander. So my friend, my clients say, well, my friend has this, my friend has that. I said, well, that's great. If it's working for them, that's great. However, you're not in their scenario. Every person has different and unique scenarios. So that's why it's important to break things down, assess their individual situation, and move forward.
So in addition to getting folks set up for when they are turning, let's just say 65, and getting them set up, You can also help somebody who, say, just moved to Arizona, is 82, and just wants to look and make sure they're getting the right coverage. Is that
correct? That's what's called a special election period in the eyes of the Medicare world under the government. So if they change service areas, if they're new, like you said, new to Arizona, it would be great to contact someone, a professional, to see what their situation is. They may not have to change, depending on what plan they have. But if they have a plan that they have to change, like for example, a Medicare Advantage and or a drug plan, those have to change based on the service areas they're issued.
okay?
So if they're coming from New York or Texas or a different state and they come to Arizona, it's wise to speak to a professional to see if and what we can help them out with.
What would be other situations where somebody may need to contact you about changing their services or taking a look at that?
The annual enrollment period is the huge part of the year, October 15th through December 7th. And this is all put up, this is all mandated and regulated by the federal government.
Okay.
So from October 15th to December 7th, that's a 53-day period that people, if they want to make any changes whatsoever, they can do it in that time frame. And they
Because?
Exactly.
No reason. Oh, okay.
And they can make as many changes as they want in that time frame. However, whatever change they make last prior to December 7th, that's what goes into effect on January 1st.
Okay. What are some common Medicare mistakes that you see people making?
Waiting till the last minute.
Okay.
And again, not to doubt anybody's intelligence, but I have clients that have PhDs, master's degrees, and they don't know the first thing about what we're talking about once I have a conversation with them. And the bad thing of that is because they've waited till 2 weeks before their Medicare is supposed to go into effect. And it's not just call Social Security and get an ID card. There's a process to go through. COVID didn't help that either because it set everything back on timelines. So you used to be able to just go into the Social Security office and apply for things. Now you have to call, make an appointment. But one of the services that I provide is if we can do it on time, I can navigate them through the website to make sure they get their Medicare ID card, make sure the application's filled out correctly, and to make sure they're going to get it within a reasonable amount of time to look forward to make sure they have the secondary coverages in place that they need.
Okay. What advice do you have regarding secondary coverage? You've kind of brought that up a little bit. Again, I'm sure it's situational based on the individual, so that's definitely something they should consider.
A lot of things to consider when I meet with folks. I talk about, do they do a lot of traveling? Do they have specific doctors they like to go to? I can't ask for their medication lists. However, if they want to volunteer those to me, I can research all their medications and find out what's the best drug plan for them based on price, formulary, and pharmacy.
Wow.
There's again, you said everybody has their own unique situation, but the only way to find out what's best for each person is to make sure we have enough time to have the conversation to find out what's important to them, what needs, wants, and budgets they have, and then let me do my homework and find out what we can put them together. I have clients where a husband and a wife have completely different plan types and companies because Medicare is strictly an individual program. It's based on each person's, it used to be the Social Security number, now it's their Medicare ID number, but each person has their own ID, and that's what it's so important to discuss with them.
And I think that is extremely important what you just said, because a lot of people think Medicare and it's Medicare. Here's Medicare as a whole, just sign me up. But there's so much more to it. It's extremely important to talk to somebody such as yourself that can really dive in, understand what their specific needs are. It's not just Medicare.
Exactly. And another scenario that I help with, and there's no fees for what I do.
Oh, wow.
If I could spend hours with a client, and if they decide to stay where they're at, there's no fee to me. I'm building a relationship, making a relationship. But one of the services that I offer is we do what's called a cost analysis for someone who's turning 65. If they're on employer group health benefits, they may think they've got the best plan in the world because they're on group. However, it's okay, well, let's let the numbers do the talking and the benefits. So we'll do a cost analysis on comparing the cost per month on their group and on Medicare. And then we also look at the summaries of benefits and compare the two. More times than not, usually people end up better off on Medicare than an employer group health plan based on cost and coverage.
Wow.
But they don't know that until we crunch the numbers and look at the benefits. And again, if they're better off with the group plan, I'll be the first to tell them that. and say, let's keep in touch and let me know when you're getting ready to retire.
Yeah. So when somebody is coming up, let's say, to retirement, when is the ideal window that they should contact you? They probably don't want to wait until a month beforehand, right? You want to try to be as proactive as possible. So what does that window kind of look like for them?
I've had clients reach out to me 18 months prior. I appreciate the proactiveness, but it's not necessary because things change every year as well.
Sure.
So I think the perfect time frame is 90 to 120 days prior to their Medicare effective date.
Okay.
Whether it's coming off of a group plan or if it's going just on turning 65 and going on Medicare. 90 to 120 days is the perfect amount of time for us to do our homework, make sure they get their card on time, go over secondary coverages, and put all that together for them. And they have all their ID cards in place by the first of the effective month, and it's a nice clean transition.
Perfect. You had talked about the window later in the fall,
The annual enrollment.
Annual enrollment. So people gearing up for that, do they also want to look about 90 days out to kind of get prepared with all of their documents and what they may need to possibly make changes?
That's a great question because the annual enrollment period is a whole different scenario, and again, it's regulated by the government. So we can't even talk to anybody about 2023 until October 1st.
Oh.
Because we don't get the information until October 1st.
Wow, they keep that really guarded.
So we can't open conversation for new benefits for 2023 until October 1st. And we can't accept applications, depending on the change, depending on what plan they're going to. We can't accept an application until October 15th. So the windows, it's the 53-day period plus that first 2 weeks of October. And trust me, that time frame goes quick. If people wait till December 5th to see if they need to do anything, they may not be able to get any hold of anybody because those last couple days we're running like chickens without heads, trying to get everybody taken care of. So don't procrastinate even in that small time frame.
I can imagine from October 1st until December 7th, you don't sleep much and are very...
It's 7-day work weeks and 14, 15-hour days. It used to be, back in the day, the annual enrollment period was November 15th to December 31st. And that really ruined our Christmas vacations, our Christmas holidays. So they got smart and they backed it up. So now it's October 15th to December 7th. And now we can still get everything wrapped up and then kind of wind down and get into our Christmas holidays.
That's good.
And get some golfing in, get a deep breath or two.
Don likes to golf, in case if anybody hadn't caught that yet. So let's actually go into that. Tell us a little bit about who is Don outside of AZ Medicare Guy. What types of things do you like to do? I had touched on that you like to do cliff diving and skydiving, which sounds terrifying to me. But what else do you like to do?
Skydiving is great. I just did it for my first time on my 60th birthday a year ago. It's my bucket list. Loved it so much, went up and did it again. My daughter went with me. I love to play golf. I really love to play golf. That's my mental therapy. I get out there, even when it's 110. We
You're
try
there
early in the morning, not in the afternoon. But no, my wife and I, we love to do road trips. Travel. We've got, between the two of us, we've got a few kids. So our house is a revolving door because with colleges and traveling, kids are just coming in and out. Her family's here, spend a lot of time with her family, and my family's back in New York, so we'll go back east a couple times a year. And it's just really preparing for retirement ourselves. I'm 3 years and 349 days away, I think, from my effective Medicare date.
Okay, you also volunteer. I actually first met you at Honor Flight. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about this great organization?
It truly is. Honor Flight, it's an amazing organization. They started back in like 2008, 2009. It started in Ohio, but there's a hub here in Arizona. And basically what we do is we raise money, and with the money that we raise, we pay for flights and take any veteran who served in a conflict, we take them back to DC. It's a 2-night trip, and we take them to all the memorials. And it's a real great bonding experience for the men and women that go as veterans. And then I was fortunate to go as a guardian a few years back. Wow. And it's bring a box of tissues. It's a very, very emotional trip, but a good emotional.
Oh,
It's-
absolutely.
it's
Yeah,
really incredible.
I've never got to go as a guardian yet, but just being at the airport and seeing people stop what they are doing to stop and honor these veterans going through the airport. They're completely taken by surprise, but they see them coming through. There's announcements made, and I just think that it's truly amazing. Anybody can come out for the return flight and stand outside of security and welcome them back.
Exactly. There's a lot of people that do that. And we just wrapped up, we just had the 250,000th veteran that Honor Flight sponsored back to the memorials in DC. They announced Arizona as the hub to take that flight. And that's where, you were at the airport with us that day. So that flight went out. American Airlines donated an entire aircraft. They paint wrapped it, the Flagship Valor, if I remember correctly. And it was just amazing. It was the biggest flight they've ever done. And that was to mark the 250,000th veteran. And it's on Facebook. If you go to Honor Flight AZ Facebook page, the whole ceremony that was filmed at the World War II Memorial on May 3rd it's online. So
yeah, definitely take an opportunity to watch that and have your tissues available for that as well. It's very emotional.
Some dignitaries were there. It's very informative. Some great speakers.
And do you volunteer with any other organizations? I believe we've worked together at ACA, the golf tournament there as well, and then you're involved with the Elks Lodge. Is that accurate?
I'm on the Veterans Committee at the Elks Lodge in Phoenix.
Well, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you very much. But the Elks Lodge, and it actually came full circle because a friend of mine turned me on to the Elks Lodge, and I joined the Elks Lodge, and it was great because the Elks Lodge is where we host all the luncheons for the Honor Flight vets.
Perfect.
So I said, well, it comes full circle, so I might as well be members of both. And it was the Veterans Committee in Honor Flight that put together the lunch we had on Saturday for the veterans that went on that 250,000 flight. So it's just a great feeling. The stories you hear from these veterans, it just validates there's still good, great people out there that want to help and do the right thing.
Absolutely, yes. I think it all kind of ties together too. I can see the passion that you have working with these veterans. They are all seniors, and then your career is working with seniors. It takes a very special person to work with seniors. Not everybody has the ability to do so, just like some people can't work with children. So I think it's really great to see how it all comes together full circle.
Well, when you're a senior yourself, it's pretty easy.
You said it, Don. I did not. What would you say is the favorite part of your job? Is it working with the seniors?
Yeah, it really is. Spending the time with them and educating them, and then there's nothing better than getting a phone call from a client after they've used the benefits and say, Don, thank you. I would have never been able to do this without you. Yeah. And because of the help you gave me, I'm on the right plan. I've got my medications are covered. The right doctors are there. It's truly rewarding getting those phone calls and emails and texts.
That's good. I know that you kind of take the summer off because it's not as busy of a time, but when you gear back up again in the fall, what do some upcoming events look like for you?
Well, my wife is going to see this, so let's clarify one thing. I don't take the whole summer off. I'm taking like 10 days. We're taking on a road trip. But
you're a bit slower.
Yeah, we're a little slower. So again, a lot of marketing, a lot of catching up on admin, those types of things. I'm out doing speaking events if I can. If people want to have me come in, and I do Medicare 101 presentations, so I'll go out and do that. But basically, we gear up, and then starting in the end of July, we have to do all our annual certifications for the next year in Medicare. So if you market the Medicare Advantage plans and the prescription drug plans, you have to go through another whole set of certifications.
So you have to be recertified every year?
Every single year through AHIP, which is the Arizona Health Insurance Plans. That's a government test. Okay. And then we have to get certified with each specific carrier every year. So depending on how busy you can be or how busy you are, we have to set aside to make sure all those certifications are done. Yeah. And I represent a total of 9 different companies. So there's the main test I have to do, then each specific company I have to do their certifications for their advantage in their drug plans. Okay.
So what type of speaking engagements will you specifically be holding, or do you just go out to whomever would like to have you come in?
So I have a staple event I do. Again, I'm down for the summer on this, but I'll start back up in September. Okay. I do Medicare 101, Medicare 201 events My staple event is at the Roadhouse Cinemas in Scottsdale. It's the second Thursday of every month at 2 p.m. I call it Medicare in a Movie. So they can come in, we do a seminar, about 45 minutes, talk about, educate them on Medicare. And then if they come, they're more than welcome to stay and relax and watch a movie and popcorn and soft drinks.
Great.
Soft drinks.
That's right, that one serves alcohol, don't they?
Have to do soft drinks. But it's a great way for people to come out, get a little education and relax. Medicare in a movie, make it a date. If you and your spouse or partner or close to 65, come out, get educated and see a movie.
Yeah, it's important. Everybody's going to use it, so why not come, educate yourself on it, and then, like you said, have a date night.
And I actually just had my last seminar we recorded it.
Okay.
So we're in the process of putting that together, and then what I'll be able to have out there is a QR code that if people go to the QR code, they can actually download the training, the 45-minute seminar, and they could, not that I don't want people to come out, I want them to come out and see. Yeah. But they could still, if they can't make it or what have you, or they can share it. It's just another way to get the word out.
And what is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
My website is azmedicareguy.com. On my website, you can opt in for the newsletter. I have a newsletter that goes out a couple weeks. It's called the Medicare Minute. So people that are learning about Medicare, they get about a 1.5-minute video every 2 weeks. Don Rice at azmedicareguy.com is my email. 480-551-7303 is my office phone. I don't think I'd give out my personal home address yet, but those are the 3 main ways to get a hold of me. On my website has all my contact information as well.
And it's very detailed. You have a lot of great information on there as well.
There's great videos on there from CMS, which is the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. I've got a whole link with Social Security resources. So this is all straight information straight from the government that if people have questions, they can go to those resources on the website and get those answers straight from them, so to speak.
Okay, and also you guys can check the Fountain Hills Chamber of Commerce's website. We do have a business directory on there where you can reach out to Don directly there as well. So a lot of options to be able to reach him. You are a new chamber member. I'm thrilled that you have joined. Don and I have known each other for years, so it's great that you're here with us. For new members that are thinking about, well, should I join, should I not? In your experience thus far, what advice would you give to those folks?
It's amazing. I mean, the professionalism from the building to the staff to, Jill and everybody that works here, Betsy and on down. It's amazing. So I really got hooked when I came out here for the Arts and Crafts Festival.
Yes.
I hosted a booth that weekend.
That was fun.
And I got to meet Kristen and some of the other folks here in the chamber. And I just said, I play golf out here a lot. I'm out here quite a bit, so why not join the chamber and kill about 17 birds at once?
Yes.
But no, if anybody's contemplating it, I highly recommend it. I've met some amazing people. The staff is great. The building is amazing, professional. It's really great.
And you've been very involved since you joined, and so I think that that's an important part to speak to people, that you can be as involved as you want to be. I mean, you just dove right in, which I think is wonderful. And
that's kudos to you guys, because Betsy hosts that. I think it's Brew with Betsy.
Yes.
Betsy and Brew.
Brew with Betsy. You were right. Yes.
And in that 1 hour orientation, she covered all the benefits as a new member, and then depending on what level of membership you come in at, I was taking notes. I mean, and I'm taking advantage of it.
Absolutely, you should. How would you say the Fountain Hills Chamber of Commerce's experience has been different from other chambers that you've been in? It varies so much. Being in a chamber in a small town is going to be much different from being one in the valley. Not that any one is better than another, they're just different.
Well, you're recognized and you're appreciated and you're supported. I mean, and it's just amazing, because every time I come in, Lisa's at the front desk, smiling all the time, big happy smiles. And it's just the support. The benefits alone, but the support behind the benefits to make sure you're getting your benefits that you're entitled to, it's pretty phenomenal.
Great. We're happy to hear that. That is about all we have for today for FountainCast, but is there anything else, Don, that you would like to share before we sign off today?
No. Any questions related to Medicare whatsoever? azmedicareguy.com is the website. Don Rice at azmedicareguy.com is the email. And 480-551-7303 is the phone number.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here
Jill,
today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. That will wrap up episode 56 of FountainCast. And once again, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Don't forget to share our show with friends, neighbors, clients, and anyone in your network. And please like, rate, and review our show wherever you listen to your podcasts. A new feature of our podcast is you can now watch the video on the Chamber's website and YouTube channel. If you are in need of any insurance needs, medical, dental, life, personal, or commercial lines of insurance, you, your family, or business, contact Don today. He is your go-to guy. Now for upcoming Chamber events. We have our FH Connect Breakfast, which is the state of the Chamber, on Thursday, June 16th at 7:30 a.m. We're going to be holding it at Bachelor's Pad Barbecue, and it is catered by Mountain View Kitchen. In addition, later that day at the Chamber of Commerce, we will be hosting the monthly mixer combined with the ribbon cutting to launch the brand new Fountain Hills Chamber Foundation, promptly at 5 p.m. Finally, the monthly Chamber Lunch Mob will be meeting at 11:30 on Friday, June 20th at Chill Boutique, with lunch afterwards at a secret location announced at the retailer. Finally, our mayoral day debate on June 28th and council candidate forum on June 30th, both at the community center. Check the Chamber website for more details. As today's host, Jill Haislip, thank you, Fountain Hills, for continuing to be the best community. And Betsy likes to do blooper reels, so if we need to stop and re-record, just know that those blooper reels are going to come back. Welcome to episode 56 of FountainCast, a biweekly podcast.
Betsy's bloopers.
All right, let's go ahead and stop that.